Hi, I'm Tim Ford and welcome to the Hay Matters podcast. With 4 children of my own, I'm deeply passionate about the future of our industry. So welcome to our Next Generation series on Hay Matters, where we meet the young people driving Australia's fodder industry forward. From the paddock to the bale, these are the fresh faces bringing energy, skill and big ambitions to hay. This is the future of fodder and it's already in motion.
Hi, it's Steve Page here again from Feed Central and with another Hay Matters podcast. This morning I'm here with Ella Lanyon, and Ella's just completed the first of the Griffin Lanyon Memorial Tours. Welcome, Ella.
Hi, Steve.
Can you tell us a little bit about why the tour, you started the tour and what happened there, and also, what your expectations were from the tour?
Yeah, so my younger brother Griff passed away in 2024, and he was just one of those incredibly passionate young people. He loved agriculture, his community, and I guess everyone within that. So last year, we were sort of approached by a couple of people that perhaps we could honour his legacy in quite a meaningful way. And after a few discussions, we came up with the idea of organising the Griffin Lanyon Legacy Tour. And yeah, that's sort of where it all started. We eventually decided that we'd take 15 young people on a trip around Victoria and South Australia. And we commenced applications in November and we headed off last week, so in the middle of Feb. Yeah.
And so the response and you got a number of sponsors to help with the tour and help pay for it so that these young people can be supported to come on it? Yeah,
we were really fortunate to receive some significant sponsorship funding from Feed Central and Balco to kind of kick us off. And then we had lots of other people jump on board as it progressed. And we wanted to find something or to put together something that would really honour his legacy, but also inspire the next generation of people within ag. And that's how we came up with the tour itself. I think it's really important that young people get off their farms. I think we often take on a lot of responsibility from a really young age, and there's a fair bit of pressure on us, especially given seasons that we've had, and we have to be profitable, and we spend a lot of time within our own businesses. And I think it's so important that we get off the farm and we see new things, and ultimately we do it because we love it. And I think it's so important to be inspired and to continue to enjoy what we're doing. So that was like the main driver behind the trip itself, really. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I'm very fortunate in my job. I get to travel around a lot and go onto a lot of different farms and see different people applying different practices in different regions that you can then transform to other areas, which so to get out and do what you've done on that tour with those young people and show them what can be done in the area is fantastic. So
yeah, and it was so special to even just listen to conversations on the bus and people networking with one another. It was really impressive to hear, just the conversations and the things that they were discussing, and I felt like they each got something out of it. It wasn't just about what the places we visited, but I think even amongst themselves, it was really cool.
Yeah. Just having a chat with each other, what they're doing at home and what their family situations are, and that there is, like you say, there is a lot of pressure on young people inheriting the family farm and the responsibility of carrying that on for the next generation. That does put a lot of pressure on. And to step outside your own business and see what others are doing and opportunities is phenomenal.
Yeah, and I think as farms get bigger, it becomes can become quite an isolating occupation to be in. And I think, it's just so important that you get out and meet new people.
Yeah, and having other things outside the business too, being able to do like sport or whatever, and you do have a lovely community around here. So I know, quite a few different farmers in this region, and the community support around here is lovely. I love this region for it, and we're in the around the Bort area in Victoria, but I remember coming to Griffin's funeral, and the actual local support was absolutely huge, and it was a great function to see him off. But can you tell us who you visited on the tour and what you did?
Yeah, so we left from Melbourne and we headed up to Warrnambool, then to Roe, Naracoorte, Horsham, and back to Melbourne by the end of the week.
That was a big week for you.
It was a big week, yeah.
And so you went to an abattoir?
Yep, we headed to Midfield Meats on the Tuesday morning of our trip. That was super impressive, really cool. Yeah.
Yep. And I believe you went to a machinery dealer.
Yeah, we went to John Deere and Crohn's warehouses in Melbourne.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were good.
Yep.
Not easy to get into, but they showed you around a fair bit.
Yeah, no, they were really, really good. Quite impressive. Yeah.
And you got onto a couple different farms also.
Yeah, we visited the Eckerts in Meningie and Scott Campbell and Keith.
Right.
Yeah.
And so showing a few different operations. So totally different sort of region to what you do here, especially the Eckharts type thing on that area.
Yeah, really different operations, different climates, soil types, and different attitudes towards ag and farming into the future.
And you also did a couple feedlots. You did a sheep feedlot and a beef feedlot?
Oh. No, just a sheep feedlot, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the other people on the tour with you?
Yeah, we had a really wide range of people. So our age group was 18 to 30. We did have a couple of exceptions to that. But
Your dad?
Yeah, my dad. But they, came from across Victoria, New South Wales and Queensland as well. And everyone most were growers. We had a few exceptions to that, an agronomist. We also had Hugh Ford, so from Pete Central. But beyond that, everyone had different operations and different things within their businesses. So it was really interesting.
Right, okay. So after your success, I believe it ran extremely well. Hopefully you'll get an opportunity to do some more, or what are your thoughts on that? Too early to be predicting?
No, I think it went really well, and I think it would be really cool to do it again in some capacity. Yeah.
It's great I think it's phenomenal and fantastic that you've done it, because to bring those youth forward in the industry and promote the whole industry, we need that. Otherwise, the industry will die. And not that we're anywhere near that, but it's good to support those youth and get it and show them other sides of the industry too, and different regions, as you say. It's different soil types, different things, different people are doing. It promotes it really, really well. So congratulations on doing it.
Thanks, Steve.
With Feed Central's Local Ag, you can connect with farmers and suppliers across Australia, increasing your market and ensuring you get the best deals wherever you are. List your machinery, livestock, feed and more for free, and take advantage of Local Ag's safe and secure payment system, CheckVault, to ensure all of your transactions are protected. Feed Central's Local Ag is providing Australian farmers with trusted connections and transparent trading.
So can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, what you're doing? You're home here on the farm, but you're still studying, and what are you doing?
Yeah, so we run a broadacre cropping operation about 20 kilometres north of Bort. So I manage it alongside my dad, Josh, but I'm also studying my master's in agriculture at the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
And so where you're looking at going with that, what are you wanting to do? Just increase what you can do with the business?
Yeah, I think so. It's really just to gain some outside perspectives and some different skills and things to bring home to our own business. Yeah.
Have you brought home any changes yet in the business? Help your dad?
Probably no drastic changes, but definitely lots of knowledge and ideas and different strategies to approach decision making and things like that. Yeah.
Such as?
I think we just get different perspectives, especially on purchases of machinery, expenses, input costs and that kind of thing. And it's just interesting to hear what other people have done. And I think it's just given me a good way to look at that for our own business.
Right, okay. So last season, it was a reasonably difficult one. It was a tough finish for you. Can you tell us a little bit how it went for you?
Yeah, we did have a dry enough finish, but I think ultimately last year our season was pretty successful here. In fact, it was probably one of the best seasons we've had.
In hay or in grain or?
Both. We had really strong yields. We just seemed to get rain at the right times. And we were able to just get off quite a successful crop.
That's good. So what would be your split between hay and grain for last season, or for a normal season in comparison? What would you have done, more hay last year or more grain?
Probably slightly more grain. We have a 33% three-way split across legumes, barley and oaten hay. So it depends on the percentage of vetch to lentils that we're growing in a given year.
So your rotation is split three ways, fairly evenly?
Yeah, fairly evenly, yeah.
So your paddock selection in that, is there any reason do you select certain paddocks for certain crops, or is there any reason for that?
Not necessarily, because we work on the three, like the legume, barley and oaten hay rotation. We don't necessarily select specific paddocks for hay, and ultimately most of our paddocks are set up to produce hay in any given year, which allows us to opportunistically cut particularly barley for hay if we need to, if we've got quite a big crop and we just don't seem to have the subsoil or the moisture to bring it into grain production, then we'll opportunistically cut it for hay.
Right. And your legumes, you do quite a bit of vetch, I've known over the years. What other legumes are you doing?
Yeah, just lentils.
Lentils. And what proportion of vetch to lentils? Has that been sort of fairly standard, or are you moving more towards lentils? Or?
Yeah, we've definitely increased the amount of lentils we've been growing. I think we've been growing them since 2022. And now in terms of just lentil production, we're probably 2/3 lentils and 1/3 vetch. Yeah.
And is that mainly because of a return or any other reason, risk factor, or what's the main reason?
A bit of both. Like lentils have had a pretty good, they've been quite valuable the last few years, and so the return, they've probably been a bit more profitable than vetch in that perspective. Also from a labour perspective, vetch is obviously quite labour intensive and the lentils are slightly less labour intensive. But ultimately, I think if you look at it this year, vetch is obviously quite valuable, and we've sort of taken that into our consideration where we've made decisions about the crop we're going to put in this year.
Right. And so do you select the paddock because of frost risks or anything like that? Do you look at frost risk here? You don't really have an issue there on planting times?
We can definitely have an issue with frost. We haven't seen it in the last few years. But yeah, we take it into consideration, particularly with planting times, more so than paddock selection. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So it's the end of February and you've just had a reasonable fall of rain over the weekend, and there's predicting more coming. And I've just seen you're out there now seed dressing some of the vetch. When are you looking at what's your starting planting date?
Sort of around that middle of or into April. We wouldn't start before then. Yeah.
And you would be, so you're not looking at having moisture. You'd just plant dry and then have that subsoil moisture help to get it established.
Yeah, we're pretty comfortable to put in all the vetch dry if we need to. Yeah.
Right. And will you have a bit of a break between planting your vetch and going into your cereals?
It's really seasonally dependent, depending on how early we've gone in planting the vetch, but not necessarily, no.
Mm. And this rain, you'll now get a bit of weed come up, so that'll be weed control and getting that all ready. And so good to get those weeds sort of covered.
Yeah. We'll put in our vetch, and then we'll usually put in about half our oats, move to barley, and come back to the oats after that. And obviously our lentils in there as well. Yeah. Yep.
And just before we started talking, I believe you got a new planter coming.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that and why you selected that planter? 60 foot. So, and you got the job of driving it, I believe.
We've shifted from a 40-foot John Deere seeder to a 60-foot Horsch. I think we're just looking at that really from, it's obviously going to increase our capacity, reduce time that we're in the paddock, and ultimately hopefully make us a bit more efficient. Yeah.
And what sort of points and that you've got on that?
Yeah, we use a knife point press reel system. It's a single chute seeder. I've got a 21-tonne bin on it, yeah.
And what sort of fertiliser application you'll do in front, and do you do any fertiliser applications through the season?
Yeah, a bit of both, yeah.
Right, and so what would you go in before you plant or with a fertiliser application or then during planting? Yeah,
some of it goes in with the seeder or behind the seeder, and then throughout the season, yeah.
Right. So do you know what size tractor you're going to have on the front of this new planter?
Oh, that's the biggest question around the table at the moment. I think we're in the process of looking at purchasing a new tractor. We need a little bit more horsepower to pull the bigger seeder. So
what sort of horsepower are you looking for?
We've sort of been looking at a John Deere 9R, maybe working into the high 400s. Yeah.
Oh, no wonder you got into the John Deere factory.
Yeah.
You're checking them all out while you're on the tour. Had Dad with you. Do some tie kicking. Well, thank you, Ella, for joining us. And that was great, all good information. And congratulations. I believe the tour was extremely successful and look forward to seeing, put the next one together, hopefully in the next couple of years.
It's Tim Ford here again. I just wanted to say that I was really loving this young people's series that we're doing on the Hay Matters podcast. So great podcast. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Ella. At a very personal level, I'm deeply touched by the story of Griff and deeply appreciative of the support, friendship and loyalty of the Lanyon family for over 20 years. I first met Griff when I was visiting the Lanyons doing my hay inspection run over 20 years ago, and Josh asked me to drop young Griff off to kindy one morning, as I think Josh was getting my tyre fixed at the local tyre shop. He talked tractors, farm and hay the whole trip. And every time I bumped into him over the years, it was the same. Farm, tractors, hay, repeat. Farm, tractors, hay, repeat. What a lad. To say Griff was passionate about ag is an understatement. What I saw was that he loved his family. He loved his farm. He loved life and loved sharing the story of ag. A special thank you to Ella Lanyon, Cole Radcliffe and Josh Lanyon for leading such an amazing trip. It was also truly very special for us to partner with Belco to sponsor the trip, and I'm deeply sorry I could not attend the trip as I had originally intended. Honouring Griff by bringing young people together is truly special, and I applaud you for it. It's really special what we've done here, and I would be only too happy to work with you guys and the family in the future in honouring Griff's legacy. Thank you, guys. Well, thanks, Steve. It's Tim back here again, and that wraps up this episode of our Next Generation series on Hay Matters, and what a pleasure it's been listening to these stories. If you're enjoying these conversations, make sure you follow the podcast and stay connected with Feed Central for more stories from across Australia's fodder industry. The future of hay is in great hands, and we're proud to help tell these stories. This podcast is hosted by Steve Page, presented by Feed Central, and sponsored by Local Aid Marketplace. The producer is Cara Stewart. The audio editor is Alan Ronalds-Keane. The music is by Pianio.